the Daily Nation, Raila, Uhuru asked me to reach out to Ruto. Azimio leader Raila Odinga says a phone call from former President Uhuru Kenyatta made him and President William Ruto agree on broad-based government to salvage the country. Also on the Star newspaper, I'm right to work with Raila. Ruto fires at his critics. President says sometimes the country's interest supersedes others. And now to Casmuel. The government of the national unity is here, and perhaps it's already suppressing the Gen Z revolution. Others consider this as a hijacked revolution by Raila Odinga. In the first, previously, Raila stated categorically that it was President William Ruto who approached him to save him from imminent collapse. And yesterday, again, Raila Odinga says it's the former President Uhuru Kenyatta who called me to reach out to President Ruto so that, we save this nation. Ruto, on the other hand, says every interest is superseded by the national interest. What do you make of the government of the national unity, with already at least 4 top former ODM officials already in the cabinet? In fact, taking over very crucial dockets. John Mbadi, Treasury. We have Opiyo Wandayi, Energy. Hassan Joho, Mining. And the former Kakamega governor, Wycliffe Oparanya, now in the cooperatives, despite him not believing also in the Hustler Fund.
What we're seeing is a very curious state, but not unexpected nor unprecedented. We are seeing an exit strategy for the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, who's speaking from both sides of his mouth. Because I saw a video when he said that the former president reached out to him when the country was burning. And I've been asking myself, when was the country burning? And I've been asking people on the ground, when was the country burning? And we don't seem to understand. So maybe these politicians live in a different reality. However, what you see is what outgoing President Ruto has clearly worked on the demise of what used to be ODM, because it's robbed them of its 4 top officials. And what's going to happen is these people are bound to fail in the ministries that they're in. You've seen the people who've exited those ministries saying very bitter things, and maybe it is because they're jobless, but there's some truth to whatever it is that they're saying. So it is imminent that this is what is going to happen. And again, remember, this is a cabinet that, as the people of Kenya, as the sovereign power that be, we have rejected, because we said, give us a cabinet that does not have corrupt officials. But they went on and gave us. So we don't see, this is not a government of national unity. This is a conglomeration of corrupt officials who've decided to bound together and consolidate power, because they know that the people are awakening. So currently, and I maintain this position, we have an unconstitutional government. As the Constitution of 2010, as Mheshimiwa said here, if that is our guide, we have no government, we have no legislature, we have no instrument, we have no government institution.
So are you sustaining cause Ruto must go?
Why are you asking us, am I sustaining as though it had stopped? Ruto must go. He must go.
Honorable Marian Kitani, Ruto must go is the clarion call by the youthful Kenyans who, first of all, believe the revolution was hijacked, deals were cut on their blood, that despite over 60 Kenyans losing their lives, on the other side, Raila says clearly that there were talks of how to get into government. Is this even fair to the youthful Kenyans that form actually the population that in the country that is the largest?
Okay, Chacha, I think you've asked me 4 or 5 different questions, which I will answer it in, I'll try and put it together. First is the call for Raila, who says that he was reached out to come and talk to Ruto, and Ruto also talking about interest superseding the other. I think I want us to go back in history a bit and look at when the late former vice president then, that is George Saitoti, stood in, I think it was Kasarani, and said, there comes a time when the country is more important than an individual. It was a very powerful statement. And that statement resonates and will always resonate throughout, because it is always about the country more important than an individual. When a young person like him, and I'm calling my young kid because he's my child, really, comes and says, Ruto must go, he is not understanding what is this Ruto must go. It is about structures and systems. It is not about individuals. It is not about Ruto must go, but are the structures and systems in place to check what is called excessive wastage in government? Are the structures in place to check wastage in government? Are the structures in place to ensure that there is no corruption? Because those are the issues. Are the structures in place to ensure that public money is used in a fair manner, equitably, across the country? Because there is no need of one part of the country getting more resources, getting more development, when another part of the country is not. And therefore, those structures is what our 2010 constitution strives to achieve by actually separating the three arms of government, so that legislature remains with just oversight, legislation and representation, to make sure that they check the excesses of government. And then the executive itself, given the mandate, remember, the government cannot even spend without the legislature approving that kind of expenditure. And where people are aggrieved, like in this case where he's saying that we have an unconstitutional legislature, and which I've challenged him, unless the court says, yes, it is unconstitutional, he can't quote that kind of word, because you are then usurping the powers over judiciary, which is the third arm over government.
Sue me.
I
dare you to sue me.
Please, I told you, please allow me to finish. I do not disrupt you. So, unless the judiciary, unless the judiciary says that Parliament is unconstitutional, we in Parliament or the executive cannot usurp that power. So we allow each arm of government. And every time the judiciary has said, government, this is unconstitutional, you've seen that government has affected. If it comes and says, Parliament, this is unconstitutional, we also stop. Remember, we have been accused of non-public participation in many of the bills. And now the question is, how do we actually carry out this public participation? Because yes, we do, but the government says that judiciary says in one side, because there's a case that was passed in Kisumu that says that public participation should be done by Parliament. Now there's another case that came and said that public participation did not reach, I don't know, certain areas, so that like when they passed the public participation in the 2023 finance bill. So when you look at those, then the question we are asking ourselves is, should we put in a legislation or regulations in terms of how public participation should happen, so that it makes life easier, or rather we have a process which now is a process that tomorrow when you go to court you say, yes, we have followed this particular process.
I'll be coming back to you.
About Kennedy must go as though we are not the ones who developed it.
With the government of national unity now being in place, the Gen Zs were on the streets for good governance. And perhaps the sustained calls for Ruto must go, it's because they believe they're not being listened to, that despite also having clarified that any leader with integrity issues should not be on the cabinet. That has happened. Maybe it's the government of the day or the President William Ruto-led government that is not dancing to the tune of the Gen Zs. At the same time, when we talk about, Parliament, when there are calls, for them to reject the finance bill, they went ahead and passed it. The president, out of pressure, had to drop it. Perhaps the calls for Ruto must go, it's, changes to happen.
I will not discuss slogan being used by people who don't, first of all, know what they want. They don't even know where they're coming from. When you look at our constitution, there's a reason why, even when somebody is being appointed to a managerial position, there's something called experience. You see, you cannot have a child who is 18 years and you give him to be managing director of even this your institution here, because there is what will be required of experience. Experience, being the best teacher in our normal understanding, has the following. Number one, you get to interact with not only what you study, but also what is actually in practice. Then now brings me into the second part of what is the difference between normative and pragmatic aspects of what we learn and what we do.
Perhaps what they're questioning is the...
Let me talk. You are the same as the Gen Zs because you don't want to listen. You don't want to allow concept. You see,
allow him to proceed.
And you see, I will not be interfered with simply because noise is emerging from even you or even him. Simply because this is the noise you people allowed on your platforms, and people got misinformed even about the finance bill, which is actually confirmed to be, even by those who are opposing it, to be right.
Kennedy,
I am going to execute my point as follows.
The courts declared that to be
Tell that to the courts.
I'm telling
Where
you the
are the
public
courts
which
now?
you're trying to lie to because
fine.
you are a government
Chacha,
operative.
what I am saying, Chacha, you see, I told not everyone. I am telling you, the media has been misused by these people who are looking for Facebook and WhatsApp following. I told one day I told Eric Omondi, and I can repeat it authoritatively, that I am repeating. This is a national television, and I told Eric on national television that they cannot use this country's emotions to whip their support or following on YouTube.
That is what the politicians
like what they do, because they are busy looking for people who can follow them, like their chats and everything.
No,
we cannot run a country like that. I am saying, if you talk about accountability, national accountability can be done through two avenues. One, Parliament.
Yes.
Two, Auditor General. Those are the two areas which are constitutionally allowed, and if such people have made their pronunciations, then the court comes and interprets the legal nature of such pronouncements. Therefore, we cannot have a country where we are going to be told by children who have no even experience of what should be done, because this constitution... Okay, what is your age? How old are you? How old are you? It's not being emotional.
This is not a dating
How old
app,
are
as I
you?
told you. This is not a dating site. Don't ask
that is even being careless in how you put your...
Yes, if you're careless, I'll be careless.
The media must also check the content you disperse. You cannot keep inviting people who can keep talking things which are not even constitutional, which are not even moderated, which are not even organized. It's like what they do on their YouTube channels. This is what I'm saying, Chacha. And I will be allowed to speak, because these misconceptions are the ones which have been sent to everyone by people like Biguna who sit somewhere outside the country, don't even have a stake in the country, and then they sit behind keyboards. They are busy talking and writing things which they can't even substantiate. Well, the country must be run. Now, whether the Gen Zs, what next? Just a minute, don't cut me on this. Whether the Gen Zs should continue with their activities, fine. Every Kenyan is allowed under Article 37 of the Constitution of Kenya to picket peacefully and without being armed. But that one does not stop the Constitution from protecting the rights of people at Article 40. When you picket in your way and you interfere with people's property, the government has a duty to protect that property. And whenever you walk around, you must know those properties are struggles of people. They have put them there, and you come without even, you only have your mobile phone and a suit which maybe is bought to you by your parent, and then you are interfering with a shop of somebody who is also having his children waiting for school fees. We can't do that. We must have a country which is orderly.
Let's now allow
because you're making things look very bad. We have a country which must respect the rule of law. If that constitution, which is the law, allows you to picket Article 37, know that that constitution allows the president, Article 252, to appoint those people you claim. If you feel you're fit, prepare yourself to be appointed.
Well, Kasmuel,
yes.
You know, none demos were botched as most towns remained calm. Yes. And according to Raila Odinga, when he came into government, he came to save the government from imminent collapse. And the nane demos did not take place as, anticipated, or did not attract, the numbers it used in previous street demonstrations. Is this a passing cloud?
I don't think it is a passing cloud. I know it is not a passing cloud in the sense that, and I feel it is very unfair for us to reduce a youthful political exercise into what Raila said or what Ruto said or what whoever individual said, because this is yes, it's fine.
Yeah, it is.
It's fine. The man is here to appease his political master. So
just
let
like
him talk.
Are here to appease those who are sponsoring and buying you suits.
Yes.
When you work nowhere
let
to
him
afford
talk. Let him talk. He cannot afford to.
So,
he does not go to therapy. So when he sees a young person, he wants to offload. Just offload. No. Let him offload. No. Let him offload.
He started
Chacha, please don't interrupt him.
I told you,
interrupt him.
if it's
It's okay,
about this
go.
kind of trouble, I'm the best at it.
No, go.
You know, when he
Go
came here,
for
he
it.
thought that he can do it.
Go
the
for
way
it.
he does
Let's
it
have some
everywhere.
decorum
You
here.
wait and do the nonsense
go
on
for
your
it.
YouTube.
No,
And you
don't
must
switch
not
off.
bring them here.
Don't switch
Just
off.
off the mic.
Don't switch off.
You
Kindly
failed to
Don't switch
manage
off his
it,
mic.
so
Don't-
I'm
no, no.
managing him for you.
Don't switch off his mic. The man
well.
needs, there has something he needs to let out.
You failed to manage him.
No,
I'm
let
just
it out.
managing him.
Let it out. Let
Is
it
this a
out.
passing cloud?
So-
No, it's not. The ethnic,
It is
the
obviously a
profiling that
passing
was
cloud,
happening,
which has
the
gone.
profiling that was happening during Nane is the same that we saw, although in a different format, where during the post-election people were being profiled tribally. This time, even the roadblocks were set in all the major highways and entry points into Nairobi, and youth were being forced out of matatus. And people were being returned. They were told there is no work that is happening. So if a protest is to ensure that no economic activity is happening in the CBD, no economic activity happened, whether or not the media covered it, whether or not government bloggers yap about it and want to cry on national television, it happened and it achieved its results. The part that people get wrong, they think that Nane was the end. This is just but the beginning. That's why I'm telling him he needs
So
to...
there are more demos on the way?
Let me tell you, you have seen nothing. This government, as I've said time without number, will crumble upon the weight of its own stupidity. And the time will avail itself again. And these government bloggers will not be able to stop it. They sit here, think they will call people children and it affects anything. It will not be affected. As a young person, I can assure you in this country that this was just but the beginning. We will organize, mobilize, and sensitize to a level that has never been seen.
Honorable Marian Kitani, is it time the Gen Zs perhaps changed tactic on staging street demonstrations, which even on Nane, you know, they were botched. Several towns remained calm. And could also the government of the national unity have influenced these so that, you know, there's soul searching and Kenyans also feel contented and being part of the broad-based government that the president has been vouching for?
I think we need to understand when you are always told that when do you know when to exit the stage? When you exit the stage when the music or when the dance is still very sweet. Don't
He's
exit
an
the
artist,
stage.
actually.
Yeah, he's an artist, and therefore he should have known when to exit the stage.
I know
The
better about
first,
the dance than
I
she
told
does.
you, please. I told you. I don't interrupt yours. Please don't interrupt
No, but
mine.
when you reference me,
You
I
can
mean
do
me.
no.
If you reference me, I have to come.
You have also referenced me.
Kindly submit.
You have also referenced
He
me.
also knows politics.
It's
No,
me
you
was
have
brought him
also,
up.
you have also
If you-
referenced
Honorable
me.
Kitani.
No.
It's me was...
You have referenced me also, but I kept my cool and waited for you to talk. You can engage, you don't engage, but not me. Please allow
even
me.
you, I can-
No.
Someone discussion.
No.
above his,
Allow
pedigree.
me to
Yeah,
engage.
yeah.
Allow me.
It does not guarantee you.
Allow me
Councilman, let's allow
to
Honorable
give
Kitani
me.
to submit.
Yes.
Kennedy, let's have some order here.
Yeah, for me, don't interrupt. Let me just finish. I said they needed to have known when to exit
Marian
the
Kitani,
stage.
you said you have a Gen Z.
I have agency, but does not behave like this. He's
They
much better.
actually support your governance.
He's
They are
much
the
better.
problem.
They may not
You cannot-
support.
yeah, also, you cannot say
I
Manchester.
said.
Is it really
Manchester
said-
is now becoming. No.
Let's
I
allow
said-
Honorable Kitani.
I will allow.
Caswell.
But one thing that
I
I
have been asked a question.
One thing
I have been asked a question. No.
It will.
Let's have some
You
order.
will not.
Please.
There's a statement you said that I will correct.
No. Don't correct.
There is a statement
You
I
will
will get
correct
back to
at
you
your
with a
time.
rejoinder.
You will correct
Councilman,
at your
I'll
time.
be getting back to you with
I
a
will-
No.
If they switch off my mic, I will speak into Mweshimiwa's time. There's something you've said. You've said that you have a Gen Z that is better than me.
Yes, far better.
You cannot compare
Far
me to
better.
your children because you have
Far
been
better, far
involved
better,
with
my
men
friend. It
who
is
have
my time.
corrupted this
Councilman.
country.
Yeah.
If you want us to
What-
go
what-
personal,
Councilman.
I will go personal
we are
with
not
Mweshimiwa.
serious.
Yes, don't do
We are
it.
Mweshimiwa Kitani.
Don't do it.
politics.
Mweshimiwa Kitani,
Yes.
kindly proceed. It's
So-
you interjected. No. Let's have some order here.
And what I would want to
Let's
say,
have some order.
and I requested, yes.
Mweshimiwa Kitani,
Chacha, I'm requesting you.
I'll be getting
There is a level.
No,
This is a point of order. When we raise a point of order in any discussion, you listen. This is not correct.
Kennedy, let's allow
Engage with me, please.
Kennedy
Engage
and
with
Councilman,
me,
let's have
please.
some order.
But please,
No.
Kennedy,
but please,
Joel, have their mics off.
I don't even know.
Mweshimiwa Kitani, proceed.
You don't think we are
What
a different
I-
generation.
what
We are a
I-
different generation.
And I have requested, Chacha, please, let's have order in this discussion. We were talking to Kenyans, and we need Kenyans to listen to all of us. Let Kenyans judge who is the right person, who is the wrong person. But let's not disrupt. When everybody else is speaking, I am not disrupting them. So please allow me also to pass my points, let my points be heard out there and let them be said. I said
you have a Gen Z that's better
I-
than me.
I have-
Kindly proceed. Kindly proceed.
Wait,
Their mics are off.
I will not wait
Mheshimiwa
for
Kitani,
Mheshimiwa to discuss.
So,
proceed. Their mics are off.
my issue is
Whether
this.
you are 50
We need to
or
know
10, I
when
do
to
not
exit
tolerate
the stage.
disrespect.
And the Gen Zs needed to have known when to exit the stage. The issues the Gen Zs raised were very relevant issues. The issues they raised were 1, about corruption, 2, about governance, 3, about wastage in this government. And it is not only this government, every successive government has had all these issues. But they raised those points. And when those points were raised, they needed now to give time to government, which actually the Gen Zs did. The people who are on the streets now are not Gen Zs. These are people, political people, who are trying to use a few young people like Kasmuel here
You still believe the
to
Gen Z
try and
revolution
make them
was not
believe that the
organic?
Gen Z revolution is still there, but there is no Gen Z revolution. So there's no Gen Z
I'll give you
revolution.
time to respond.
So,
I'll give you time.
and by the
I'll give you time
way,
to respond.
when people,
Well, at this juncture, we are taking a short commercial break. When we come back when temperatures have cooled, we'll proceed with this discussion. Honorable Marian Kitani will finish submitting on her point. Keep the conversation going via social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Cheshire on SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens. Also, we'll be switching off mics for those who will not allow others to submit. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
My mic, I walk away.